Okay, yeah, let's start. Um, Happy New Year, everyone, first and foremost, or the newest year and cycle. Yeah, we were thinking today because it's our first gathering, and maybe for some people, this kind of New Year cycle is somehow a ceremonial or symbolic moment. Maybe for some of us, it's just normal days after another, so it doesn't hold those meanings. But anyways, it's 2023, and we were thinking to kind of, it would be nice to kind of align and check in, also going into like what this later on, not today that much, but what this study base space is for, like what are we doing and why we are doing and why we are gathering in this global community and network, and my own personal processes every now and then is kind of looking at like, yeah, what am I doing and why, what's the point, what's the purpose, all kinds of waves of kind of reflecting, like checking in also with myself and others, like, okay, what are we actually doing and why? So also this kind of gathering spaces and things that are held in a way together, all of us, but also as a structure of community and gathering space right now in this Zoom call, like what are we all holding, and as we gather around inner dance, for sure, that's our red thread in this community. So we were thinking it would be really nice to have like a New Year checking, to hear as much as possible, all of us, to look at kind of whatever it might mean, but to look at what emerges at this moment, how we feel, what inner dance holds for myself personally, but also in this global context, like what's my thing with it right now, what do I see, what do I vision, what do I feel where we are at, also as a group space, not only us, but this whole global energy movements around us and inside of us. So what does it mean that we are in this community where all of us are personally part of it, and then how do we kind of through that align maybe things or see things or what we share to the space, so somehow inset some kind of small seeds, maybe even for what's happening in our own space related to inner dance, what we see and feel, what comes from us to outside, and what we see also being part of this global network. What's there, what's interesting, what's sparking, what's inspiring, what's motivating, what do we see right now? It's and over just, yeah, checking in, even introducing and getting to know each other, knowing what's happening in our spaces, so we can also find like connections, networks, alignments from there. So as much as possible, if we can keep it sharing, check-in, conversational, if something comes up and it's interesting, we can also really be on that flow. But yeah, New Year checking what's happening, emerging from my own inner dance, and then what I see as a global movement in the world and around that, or what emerges from that space. And even we can start in if it feels just to share something and later something else come up, so then share more, just to warm up the space with sharings and going into like more group dialogue. So yeah, maybe someone else I can share later on too. Now I just woke up, it's 2 a.m, so my brain is very slow. One brain cell is moving at a time. So if someone else wants to open the space with sharing, would be amazing. And I'm happy to reflect and checking later on myself too. But would someone want to start our year?
Hey, Italy,
Hi.
everyone. I'll go. Yeah, I actually been looking forward to the call to somehow do this dialogue with all of you. Many things have been um, on my mind and processing, and yeah, welcoming a new year also made me reflect on the past on the past year. And I think if I'm very honest, I go in and out of the struggle. Like I'm gonna share a bit, like just where I'm at personally with this, since this is my first year of just like first full year of inner dance, and so it's just been like I think it's a struggle if I can use the stage and the 12 stages like of choice, where I look at my life and how I have structured it so far and what I have created for myself and what I have built and what I have believed. And it seems like, things have sort of collapsed one after the other. And it's more internally, it's not like nothing is collapsing around me necessarily. I still keep my job and my friends and family. And what is collapsing and like sort of this deconstructing is the point and the purpose and systems that I believed I was building myself, but I can see so clearly, always more clear, that it's conditioned, and I didn't really like not all of it I chose. It was chosen for me. And like going deeper, like last year I went deep into, first of all, inner dance experience, like just purely the music and myself going to a place like my first sort of psychedelic experience. And then also last year I did try plant medicine that gave me psychedelic experiences. And then also dreams are not the same, and they are so real. They're becoming freaky. Like I'm starting to wake up like like last night I thought my sister had died, and it was the most real dream and very realistic, everything. And the same with just the energy flowing through me in the daily life is becoming more deep, and I'm starting to see things without seeing it through my vision. It's more seeing, like deep seeing, and deeply understand things which don't seem to make any sense, like some sort of chaos and nonsense makes so much, like they have meaning. And I'm wondering about this. Sometimes I have a struggle where I feel like I have a hard time meeting life and how my life is set up with everything that I've been experiencing. And I'm grieving a bit, like my passion for many things, because I was so passionate about many things that I understand now are also are quite much my identities, that things that I created to make myself be something. And now understanding that I'm already something, and something quite huge, it just loosens so much. the meaning, and therefore things like purpose and passion and excitement about things have really sort of neutralized. And I just wanted to sort of share this. I feel that it goes through the stages. This stage has been coming through a few times during the year, and then I always feel that there is purpose, and connecting myself, allowing, like, also going into spaces where the space is experiencing itself, where I really feel, or let's say, like, I know I have transformed, like, hugely. I also understand it in the feedback of my environment, but I think I feel that the purpose and the point is somehow sometimes clear and sometimes it blurs away, and especially when I have a life to live, like, yeah, it's a strange thing, like the also the line between life and death is just really not the same for me. It's not a clear line, really. And I think I wanted to share, I wrote a few things, but no, I think I wanted to just go into this sort of flow. But I'm, yeah, about, I mean, I really am going deep, and I feel that there's some sort of a meta understanding somehow brewing within me and without, like, and it's actually nothing that, it has nothing to do with my mind that is understanding this. It's more my body, and it's my heart, and it's my gut, and it's parts of my brain that I didn't know that existed. And like my mind's eye, like I'm getting so many messages through, and I'm still sort of like, it's like a full, it's like a code system somehow. And yeah, it just feels that it's something I have quite a crazy time with, like understanding the meaning of it. So yeah, this is my point. This is my point at the moment. And thank you for being, like, thank you for being this community, and I have huge gratitude towards all of it and all of you. So yeah, thank you for listening.
For the ones that joined a little bit late, I think Maite just came. Welcome, and Rosa came in a moment. We're just checking in, sharing kind of what's emerging for this year from my own inner dance, also around us globally. So looking at some meanings and points, and maybe alignments, intentions, putting them in this space as a sharing. So anyone, yeah, Lise. Hi.
Nice to see you, and it's nice to be in the core. I haven't been here for a while, so it's nice to be here. Happy New Year to all of you. Yeah, I thought that I could share just a little bit about some of the things that have been coming up for me in the last few weeks, and also in relation to inner dance. And not, but probably yes, some level. Yeah, Yeah, definitely my word for 2023 seems to be commitment. That's been coming up for me really strongly. And yeah, I've taken a lot of time this holiday to rest, and to try and do as little as possible, and empty out so that I can receive more clearly. I've also had some really uncomfortable things going on in my back, which has been going on for a few months now. And this holiday, I've also just made an intention to allow that to settle, allow it to rest. And yeah, what's been coming through, it's so interesting. In the last few days, I've been having certain conversations with people around some of the work that we're trying to do with inner dance. And so many people, even through the way that I've been trying to put it out there into the world, there's so many people that don't understand what it is and they don't get it. And yeah, I think one of my intentions for 2023 is to find new ways of communicating the work. And communication is really important. And this is one of my things that I've struggled with my whole life. It's around the expression and the throat, and finding the words and finding that expression, trusting the expression, trusting myself. My back is all about that, because the pain it's right there. It's the trust point. So it's all about that. It's like it's all connected. And it's this thing around trusting self. So yeah, I've been really just spending the holidays like in a lot of quiet time, and visioning, dreaming, and yeah, just trying to come to nice, I think just resting before this year starts. So yeah, we're actually offering a training, our first training, in a few weeks' time. That's starting here. And I think that's also part of it, is that it's so interesting. People that I've been talking to just verbally, quite casually, about what this is. They're like, oh, wow, they didn't realize that is what it was, and what this process is actually about. And yeah, so we are still hoping to get a few more people to join our training. We have a small group that's booked, but it's nice. It's the first time that we're offering. It's myself and Ali, and we're offering it's going to be over 4 months. So we've never done this before. So it's all very new and old, I guess, but yeah, it feels like an opportunity to really go deeper. And at the same time, I feel like I know nothing. So it's like that, like, it's like, yeah. And I think, which is a good space. This year for me is also about learning and growing, and doing a lot of my own self-practice, much more than I did last year. I think that there's a lot of inner dancing and dancing with self that I really intend to do more of this year in all sorts of ways. So and yeah, as I said, just like being more brave, more courageous in the communication and what is, and not holding back so much. because I tend to hold back. My dog doesn't hold back. Yeah, so yeah, come. Yeah, so I realized that, yeah, I was having a conversation with someone actually like a week ago around like the fear of actually expressing what inner dance can do in its, very profound spaces. And yeah, also something sparked. I saw some comments around Avatar, and I also went to go see Avatar. And yeah, there's a lot in there as well. I'm still processing that, and I think I will be for some time. But it feels like, this modality, it holds such keys to so many things. And I think, yeah, I feel like I've just touched the surface. I feel like it's just beginning. What has been quite cool is that we did some work with an addiction clinic about a month ago, which was something new, and that was quite exciting. And I'm hoping that I can do more work with that this year, and seeing what it can do. It's still something quite new for me. Yeah, so other than that, it's hot here, it's summer, I'm still on holiday mode, taking things very slow, and yeah, so it's nice to be on the call. Yeah.
I think I can go. I wanted to share that, as some of you know, like I participate in big festivals, so I have the opportunity of giving inner dance to big groups. And a couple of days ago, one of my friends spent the whole session completely still, like she was like a stone. And that happens in my sessions a lot. People do not move. And then after that, in the sharing circle, she was like, I felt absolutely nothing throughout the session. I was just like thinking, chilling, listening to music. But now, right now, I feel like my brain is rewiring and I am connecting both hemispheres. That's literally what she said. And she's a photographer, like she's no neuroscientist or anything. And I don't know, like that was like pretty spot on, right? Like it was somehow shocking. But where I see myself in the process of inner dance is I feel myself stuck. Like I still need to connect. I feel that my inner dances, people do not move unless they've been activated before. I feel that, I don't know, I'm taking like, I see myself repeating patterns, and I see myself really struggling between the knowledge that we're getting and how that applies into a real session. So I feel like I have a lot of information that I can rationally comprehend and integrate, and that I feel that is something that I'm getting to, through many iterations, get to understand. But applying this and connecting this to the experience, especially when throughout the session, I think that the biggest advice that I got from the community and from everyone that has been teaching is to trust the process. But I still feel very like blind, and maybe that's why I feel like it's like repeating, because it's always like I'm shaking something, I'm doing something in the dark, and then at the end I see that the outcome is good, but throughout the process I am really lacking. And then I go to the tools that I know, like, so I go to the touch because that's my background, or then I boost the music because that's what can trigger things immediately. But I want to like go beyond this and feeling a bit more in touch with what is going on. I don't know if that's clear, but that's my check-in for the year. And then what it means to be in this community, I'm on and off, but I love it. It's hard for me. One thing I want to say is that sometimes after a few days, it's really hard to catch up with all these chain of WhatsApps and everything. And I think I would love to like have the reactions a bit shorter, more like reactions to the actual message instead of like more messages, because I don't know, or maybe moving to Telegram where we can have sub threads or something, because sometimes for me it's really complicated to catch up, but at the same time it's so nourishing. So even though I do not react, because maybe I wasn't there for 4 days and I'm like trying to read a lot of things, it's just amazing. It's just like, I don't know, it's like my daily inspiration. It's like when I wake up or when I go to sleep, I want something to like check or go through, and that's our channel. So yeah, I'm very happy, and I'm very happy, yeah, to be here for this year. That's my check-in. Thank you.
Hello. Maybe maybe I will try to check in from the other side of the world, or the earth than Lee. It's very much winter here in the north, and I was trying to, or I did send a voice note today for a friend, and my brain just doesn't function, so I don't know if I have anything to really share here well put together, but I will try. Try to say something. I spent the holiday for Christmas time alone without my kids, and that, and now the New Year's shift, I just don't. It's just another day, and I just find myself wondering like what's happening and why, and talking about the new cycle beginning, like every day is a new cycle beginning. So it's kind of a weird shift. Maybe it's always been there, but for now it's even more clear that I'm kind of, my inner dance at the moment is with the nature really, and within my body system that follows the cycles in a way that my mind and my kind of construct does not recognize a new year beginning in this time of a year, when we have like the nature is not alive. We're covered with in snow, and I don't feel like really, I do a lot, but I don't feel very kind of creative. I don't feel like doing anything in a way, and I still go to work, and it feels like it's so contrary to what my body says, to just go outside for during the couple of hours of light, and the structure of the society and the constructs of a celebration here and there that we ought to follow are just not matching. So I'm looking into things like that, and also a big theme of inner dancing. planning on in this space of silence and not blooming and the darkest time of the year, thinking about new sessions or how to hold the work. I find this online study is really relevant for myself. It's like it supports an ability to kind of digest things, listen to things that are being studied in the group, and my interest is definitely going deeper to the studies and continuity in a way that I don't feel so much need for the actual sessions and processes in the way that they've been, and more interest, or my interest goes towards how can I hold the work in all, or it's going with everything that I do, but how can I hold it in and kind of translate into the systems of life, kind of providing living and in a way that it could be held in those structures, and trying to negotiate with the old modeling of what work is, or what could it be, to bring this to my own interest, to the birthing process, or to the families that are going through a childbirth and the process around it, pregnancy and so on. So in the beginning, I'm just offering sessions to kind of study the space myself. So I'm just offering a free kind of study space for myself, and offering a free session for friends that are pregnant and for their partnerships, and so that I would not need to go into the structure of creating a product that I want to create, and then kind of gather the people from the midwives. And so looking into that's something that would actually support my process in the translation to create continuity with the work, and then also a way of kind of loss of attraction, in a way that then it could just happen in a way that yeah, working on it but not working on it in the old way, sort of, to say. Yeah, maybe this is my sharing for now from this very very kind of strange space.
I will try to go next. Try and do it already. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, it's been big and very small. I arrived in Brazil, what day is today? Oh yeah, exactly 1 month ago, I've arrived in Brazil after almost 4 years away, and after 3 intense years of inner dancing Maya. It was so weird to see my birth mom because for 3 years, I was like, oh, I came from the universe. I come from cosmos. I come from from nature. And then like bang, she's there like right in front of my eyes, and she's a human person. And then it's just like, oh fuck, I'm human too. It's like, oh wow. So yeah, it's been a lot to take, a lot to grieve, a lot to process, and it's also a very big one on language also, and translating things. Like, how do I even talk to people about whatever it was that I was doing? So I've been isolated a lot, like, or trying to find a good balance between meeting people that I used to know or used to know me, and people wanting to see and wanting to connect, but at the same time it's just like, oh no, just no. And a lot of old relatives also, so it's quite intense to have this in my field again, and realizing that I need my time and I need my space, and also claiming that in this process it has been pretty beautiful actually, to be able to just say like, no, I don't want to do this, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm just going to stay in my room, and that's it. So aside from this personal confusion bubble, of course there is the other big one, which is okay, what do I do here? Do I do anything here at all? Do I run away again? And it's also like, I know that before coming here I had like, like a lot of plans. I'm gonna go to that state, I'm gonna meet those people, I'm gonna have those sessions, I'm gonna start the website, because I already had people were actually writing me already, like, are you in Brazil, or where are you, like, let's have sessions, I want to know inner dance. People asking for trainings already, like, I want to become a facilitator, like, I wasn't even here. And then I got here, like, yes, all these plans, and doom, 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 doom. But then after like 1 week, it was just like melting. And then I started realizing that I also need that womb space to begin to do whatever, or to even try to do whatever. So I'm also in a process of finding out what this means, if this is just also like something that I don't know, like what to do also, or how to do this here, or how to create something here that is not containing too much, that is not too personal, but that is also very in alignment or attuning to how I feel, or how I also feel that this community holds what inner dance is. So there has been, yes, a lot of dialogues into that, and what ways to do this, especially because, yeah, I have this big word that is coming since, I guess, 3 months already: sustainability. How is this something sustainable for all of us in the many layers, not just the financial layer, but yeah, how do we create that? And also looking at my own biases a lot. Of course, I had the big mirror of family to show me a lot of things. So yeah, like how, like my own judgment as well. Like, I don't want to hold this way, or I don't want to hold this in that kind of room, or those kind of people. So also watching this in myself, so I can achieve maybe some some more neutral space, some more heartful space to do this, or not to do this as well. So it's also something. It is weird also to be back in a space where there is this thing, in the social imaginary, that you need to plan what the next year is, over here in Brazil, it's like super, super big. You can almost touch it in the street when you're walking, that people are like, oh, these are the things that I want to do next year. New me, new life. We even like celebrate with white clothes, and it's like, oh, brand new page. And for the past 4 years, I didn't have that, and I didn't have to worry about planning an entire year. And then I got so overwhelmed as well with this, and which was interesting to see, like how the collective also has this huge impact on the way that we behave and even our thoughts and everything. So I had to also step a little bit away from this bubble of planning too much ahead of what I need to do, or how I need to be, how I need to behave. It is, yes, it is a very, it's not a new space for me. I've been in these spaces many times, but it's just yeah, it's interesting to be having this space while here and finding out what I want to do. If I want to do, I don't know, natural building somewhere in Brazil, or if I just run away to India, or if I just like, yeah, start holding inner dance session with friends and everything. So it's been like that, kind of in the personal, and how I see this thing with inner dance. I'm pretty sure it's also like a necessary step to birth something new, which might be something collective or just something personal, because I also see there will be a lot of action happening. So yeah, it might be just a reboot space, a reboot, resettling and getting acclimatized with food, with climate, with collective thoughts all over again. And yeah, it's been pretty big. So yeah, I actually, it has been like maybe more than a week that I have the website for, actually it's been a month or 2 months that I have the website to start doing something for inner dance here, but I haven't. And I sit in front of the computer hours and hours, and I just get my drawings and whatever that is not full of meaning for other people. It's just like, oh, how the hell do we do this? You know, how do we translate all of this? And how do we create a container that is that sort of container that is just containing but not restraining? So it has been in, yeah, this has been a little bit in the field. Thank you for everyone for being here. It did really help me keep my sanity for a while in this December, knowing that okay, there are people out there. Keep on going. I'm here like dissolving into cosmos and everything, but these guys, they're doing whatever they are doing. So it was, yeah, it was cool. Thank you, everyone.
I can try to check in, share something. It was funny when Una started, because I've had this maybe like a moment of well, they come really fast because our space and timings right now are pretty full. So we've had the kids for 1 week, and it's like it's really cool, but it's like a non-stop being social and family and kids around. And then it's kind of optimizing. Even there was like a 10-minute break today that there was this short silence in the space, or kind of space to think. And then I went into this, like right away I kind of went into this process, like, okay, what am I doing, what are we doing, what's the point, do I even need to do anything? What's the, like what is there to do? And it kind of emerges. Oh, so yeah, linked to this, then I go in, I call it like an existential crisis. Today it wasn't a crisis point, but I sometimes, when I go into quite, it might come from tiredness, partly sometimes from like just being in a very, very fast flowing pace of things for a while. And then when I stop, then I share many times with, when I go into this very blank state, like what am I doing? What's the point? And then it feels like, why am I here? So I call it my existential crisis moment, when I realize, oh, this process is happening like in me right now. Like what am I doing and why? And it can come from this self space, that what's the point of thinking, what am I doing? Or my own meaning, then related to the collective, or who we are together. So now somehow in the beginning of the call, when I was looking at it, then I saw that there was a yellow butterfly in Una's wall, and then I realized, like, oh shit, that's the yellow butterfly I gave her, which is from my childhood. It's made from clay. It's like a clay art, and I stared at it when I was a child. It was in my wall for such a long time, and then she came to Finland, so we know through the online spaces and inner dance. And then she came to Finland, and I think Una said in a sentence that there's something in butterflies. And then this summer I was sorting out my old things in Finland in my mother's place. And I don't even know if I got it from my mother or grandmother, but somewhere there when I was a child. And it was kind of my favorite object. And I found it from my old toys in my grandma's attic. And then I saw the butterfly, and then I knew we are going to Iceland to inner dance. And then I was like, oh, I need to bring this butterfly to Una there. And then we went to her apartment, and there was this one spot and one nail in her wall, and it fits there perfectly. And then I was like, oh, and now I see it in the screen here. And then reflecting, we've known each other and being connected in this network for years. I already saw this kind of butterfly effect, and then it reminded me, like, okay, this is the point. These things actually just like connect and travel between us, whatever meanings we put into them. So yeah, maybe my process is to look at the importance of the self compared to collective. And then we've met some very kind of activist people lately, and I'm observing myself when I'm in the space, listening when people have this, like, they're doing amazing things, including us. We're doing a lot all the time when it comes to community kind of work, or locality, or things, or even the global things. And then at the same time, my mind is saying, like, there's nothing we have to do. Like, there's really, really nothing we should do. Like, kind of where Johanna comes from, this hibernating winter moment. It's in my blood. When I see snow pictures right now, I'm like, okay, that's a cycle that I'm inbuilt in my system as a Finnish person, that there is time of the year where you can actually kind of go into that zoning of womb space, as Grat said, or like hibernating, or reflecting and looking things. So it is interesting. There's like a thrive through inner dance too. There's like a thrive and things that I feel it's very like timely, it's important, it needs focus. And at the same time, I just feel there's really nothing we need to do about anything, or we don't need to offer anything. We don't need to train anything. We don't really need to do sessions. And because we are opening space where people are physically coming here, and then I had to reflect, like, oh, now people are coming and they might have expectations or things that they are, and I'm getting these questions from all over the world, with people having expectations or questions about things. And then when I'm at the same time in a process, kind of myself saying, we don't need to do anything. We don't really need to get anything to be able to offer something, that we are actually living this life and doing whatever we are doing. It's already it. Like, we are already there. And at the same time, there's a lot of movement around. So this cycle, I kind of like New Year might have kind of symbolized for me that there's like a moment where some of our cultural or habits of starting cycles, whatever cycles people might think, like, I think many goes to that with birthdays or some things that are like traditions. Okay, I celebrate something that is a cycle. Those are kind of good moments for myself to remind of, okay, I'm checking in now, and I'm looking at this cyclical thing. It doesn't need to mean anything that it has to be in a one way of but those moments do remind me of okay, what's important right now. I also kind of think calendar or years or numbers, or that this year should be something. And now I saw my communication platform has been kind of maybe a few days or this week to look at social media and what people are posting, to catch up, even to see and feel something about what's happening in people's spaces. And it's a kind of, people are buying actually calendars, which is, for me, I realized that was the old normality, that I also planned in the calendar what I'm going to do, when is my holiday, when I'm working or at school. And I haven't lived that life for such a long time, so I don't know how to plan things per calendar or even month. Like, okay, there's timelines and things that I know might happen or will happen, but at the same time they might not. So it is interesting to reflect my old structures too, my old patterns, my way of living human life, relating to this the systems that are still there, but then being in this kind of flow state of looking at what's important. So yeah, from my own inner dance, I'm wondering, because I feel my own inner dance is really the life itself around and inside. So I'm kind of reflecting, what is it then, what we share in this space. Because right now my insight when I was listening to you guys was like, because I've had this inquiry, what's the importance of the sessions, or when people want to learn how to facilitate, like what's the point of focusing on that so much, because I feel it's all beyond that already. But I also cannot, like Lee was saying about the wordings, I actually cannot put any of this to words so easily. So I'm fighting. I would love to have some time off or focused space, even to formulate myself in my head, or like find those meanings and words and ways to look at it from a very wide, like, societal perspective. And then it feels old to talk about inner dance as sessions or process or awakening, or kundalini awakening, or energy moving, or is even as an energy for me right now. I don't relate to those definitions at all, actually. So then so what is it then? what does it mean to me? And then what is it that we're doing together, and what is it that we're offering as inner dance? So it's a big question. Part of it is partly maybe coming from timelines, that it's been so many years, so some aspects of the thing that it holds in myself and maybe around, I'm kind of getting bored. It's like, oh, it feels old in my system. And partly it's all exciting when we go into it. So I was, inside when I was listening, I was like, okay, why do we gather in sessions or even in this call space? It's actually that it does like spark in myself to share the process. So to offer the space or going into session, it's actually something shared, and it has like a structure and a frame. But then if it's only that, if we focus only on that, it's like it's too narrow somehow. So how to look at it in a very wide perspective, but then find a focused point. So these talks we've had with parents and doctors and kind of the science centered approach to things it feels interesting. It feels it's still such a big, huge area where I don't, my mind cannot focus. Like I don't find the time for myself to study or going into it, or and then I'm like, do I even need to do it, or is it more like kind of finding a little bit more space to see things and observe and focus and kind of translate even to myself, like, so what is it that is here right now? And this sharings really help. Like even now listening, I'm like, okay, I understand it. It actually, okay, this is what's happening in that person's field, and it's something very collective at the same time. So I understand myself better when I'm listening to you guys. All these wanderings and processes going on. So yeah, there's a theme like balancing, focusing, bringing words and understandings to not even call it in a way. I think we are beyond calling something inner dance or that process, because it's so wide already in so many aspects in our lives. So I'm looking at, for example, working with kids. So what does it mean? They don't need to name it, but when we go into that process with children, offering the space, like I feel now when we've been with kids this week, I am holding space. I'm facilitating. They are facilitating all the time. I'm observing how other people are with them, how we put our patterns and restrictions to these kids around us, and how we are conditioning them already, how I am doing it. So how can I actually inner dance with them in a equal dialogue, where I'm learning about my own systems that I then put on them, or what systems they already have that are influencing myself. So how do we kind of be in that inner dance to dialogue in surroundings in around us, and where then there's the space where we start, like when we work with the music or the sound or the sessions, or that space which really somehow it feels it's like squeezing everything into a one space, where then we're able to accelerate some of these processes that are happening actually all the time in our field. So it feels really good still to offer the space for the process and the sessions, because it's somehow like, it does feel that the whole universe then is squeezed in a non-time, non-space, but actually at that time and space when we're there. But it's not like boxing it into that moment only. So yeah, maybe there's the wordings, how to talk about it, how to bring it beyond this idea of sessions, how so what we are sharing, our trainings, how we're already doing it. I think most of us are kind of doing it and talking it like that, but when the big waves or the popular stuff is still so much boxed into yoga studio workshop format, and then because it's already gone way beyond that and outside of that, but then how does that actually, I feel there's like something that will start to formulate slowly, which is good also. And in our space, it's definitely having these dialogues with all of us, between all of us, but also that very specific professions or areas of science or people who are into it are looking from their lenses and from their perspective. It's very eye-opening then to create the network globally from there. So that's pretty exciting actually, but also feels that it really needs time that there's nothing needs to be done. It's kind of everything is done already in the world. There's really no new ideas or new birthings at the same time. There is, but that this cyclical thing where things are emerging and where we are heading. So yeah, birth and death maybe is my core process this year, coming from that, and then like checking in what's the point of everything. But I'm super excited, partly very tired. I think it's been an intense year looking at the base of things, like that in a 1 year there's a process of kind of losing home or going through some very intense physical natural catastrophes to this very core link that I have, losing a mother or that connection, lineage in a way. So there's big themes, and then I'm trying to look at what emerges from there in my own inner dance. And it really goes to this like, okay, so what am I doing and why? what's the point? And do I need to have an answer or understand? So there's something where my mind or my thinking process also is shut off, partly because of these questions are too big for me to try to rationalize them. Something where Una was saying, like the linkage between life and death is like blurry, and I'm also trying to like look at it like what's the time we are here and the linkages. So that's what's in the space here. Opposite from Johanna with the cyclical things here in the tropics, when it's warm all the time, it's same all the time, every day is sunny, same time dark, same time all year round. I don't feel the seasons or these celebrations at all. It's even boring to try to find like a Christmas spirit or something, because it's kind of, it's interesting. It's a very different cycle in that way here. So it's a different hibernation with the climate here, but it's kind of like ongoing, same way, same in when it comes to light and dark. But we're going towards dry season and cold evenings, which is nice. I'm able to wear a wool shirt in the evening sometimes, so I'm linked to the north through that. Cycles, birth and death, and some balancing is kind of the themes, I think, what's emerging in that space. Thank you. Some people came again to the space, so we're just checking in, flowing into sharings and check-ins about our own inner and outer dance. What's how to kind of align in this group space and global space and personal space. So any check-ins to start our whatever we are starting or in it already. So today is a sharing space. So anyone who wants to continue, maybe there's many people who are not able to be unmuted, but yeah.
I want to go for a short ad to my check-in here after Ituli's sharing. What has been coming up to me recently in the process is exactly this that was shared in many ways, that well, unknown if it's personal or if it's collective, but somehow it seems like the trans state and being non-trans, or the awake and the sleep, are coming parallel on top of each other, so that the actual kind of they're there, that the trans state is there all the time when I'm awake and very, very much conscious about what I'm kind of functioning on. So they come not so clear apart from each other, and also that creates the question to me, why to hold kind of separate sessions to something that is actually there all the time, in a way present, that I find myself also still like shifting in and out in it, but I can kind of recognize that it's all the time there, and maybe it is actually a collective state. And that's why also it also in a way feels in the community that the slow shifting is happening out from the session space, in a way that some sort of training modes are there for that. There's more require for dialogue and more require for just integrative kind of forms. And this is what I'm also, when Italy brought up the kids, that I know that I'm always bringing them up, but because they're here with me most of the time, they're just amazing. That my 7-year-old daughter just said the other day that, did you know, Mom, that numbers are infinite, that they do not end, that if we now start counting, they will never finish. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's amazing. And then she was saying that if we go, we can go all the way up to the space with the numbers. And then I'm like, okay, well, space is another infinite thing. That's when you go into space, that you can go with the infinite numbers, and then you can go into the infinite space as well. And then our dialogue came to a point that actually this is kind of the dream space, where there are no rules and there is no endings and beginnings, that this is actually kind of a dream that is that where everything is possible. And yeah, it's just and the cycle thing that the child mind holds the variety of holding the parallel dimensions, or all the dimensions that she was also saying, that she has her birthday every day, because of course as a 7-year-old you really like your birthday, but she was also saying that it's every day and it's again tomorrow. And then I was saying, like, counting the days of the year, and then that you're kind of getting old if you've got birthday every day. And then she's just like, well, numbers are infinite. So yeah, it's just amazing. Thank you.
Hi, yes, Achilles speaking. It just stopped raining, and I'm sitting here in the dark and looking in the screen with each of you and it feels for me like there's everyone is a dimension, and everyone is sitting somewhere on this planet, and on the surface of it, which is actually rotating by itself around, and then it is rotating around the sun. And in the space, when you look at this, then the whole thing is moving through the space. And actually, from the space point of view, we never come back to the same point as a cycle. But when we look from the sun point of view, then in relation with all the other planets, we find a beginning and ending and repeating, and at the same point they're meeting each other again. And at the same time, now we are 8 billion people together traveling through the space, meeting each other in relation. And there are 8 billion dimensions which are dreaming, which are in this dreaming space. And having then and when so-called inner dance moments in life, and maybe experiencing something which I believe that it is happening to each and every one. It is not something need to be facilitated, but can be, where I also believe that these moments are becoming more visible for all of us. And in this dimension thing is something which is for me present since last year, but becoming also taking over to the next year, where I have the feeling. I also used to say that I have a everyday birthday, even though I'm just 46, not infinite now. There's something about this dimension, and so a year ago my mother passed on, and this is at the beginning this is a process for me. It's it's in a way it's felt like that mother is kind of the ship. You arrive here on this planet, and the ship is then flying away, like if you would fly to Mars and you would be there, and there's no rocket anymore, it's going back to where it was coming from, and you are there, you are left alone. There's the process of grief, but there's also freedom. There's something liberationally happening also, and something get liberated, and then through this process I find myself in different inner dance sessions where this dimension and in between spaces are present, where people go into spaces where they meet people from who are or different beings or in different states, and there's this shows to me that there is beyond death and birth, there is something else. There are many in between spaces, which is showing more and more that there is something about this infinite numbers and in cycles, which are somehow draw in relations. And looking into this at the moment, for me feels like really deeply studying where we are. And I think all of you or most of you know this process in inner dance and going into the dimension, and how that can bring up so many different insights, and being here with a community where this insight at the beginning seems like a story, a strange experience, but can be listened to, is feels really very supportive, and it's a trustful space, which is again creating trust. So thank you, each and everyone, for holding me, being in relation with me while traveling in space. On the inner dance process, inner dance sessions, I have the feeling there's a lot to come next year, a lot of different things. There seems to be something is speaking, which is going more in beyond. It's called inner dance itself. It's called. It feels like it's becoming life in a way that we can actually the identification with it can change, or can be something, a being which is even self-growing or becoming. This is something what I feel within a dance space at the moment. Yeah, it feels good to be back in the tropical for the change of seasons, which is not happening here. So after many years, I'm back in the tropical and enjoying the rain and sun and the growing of the green, and yeah, and enjoying the new year, which is in a way not happening, or happening. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm Oscar. I'm joining from Mexico. Well, actually, I has been jumping in the calling and also in the ending part of the space that I'm holding with the German group right now. So this is why I couldn't be very much attentive to all participations. And I still here. I will do a short participation. Well, to me, being very present in each calling, being attentive to PI's interventions and being touched from many of you in some of your sharing of deep insights has been something that is something that is feeding me and giving me material permanently in every week when I'm holding 3 spaces. I can say that to me has been in a direction of continuous evolution, continuous expansion inside the parameters of inner dance processes as it is. To me, every week when I got an insight, to me becomes an energetic or vibratorial or reminding that is inviting me to hold the topics, the dialogues, the exchange. I ask for a lot of assistance. As I has been mentioning, my background and from the wounding background, the connection with the mother has been something very important to me. And through that healing journey, I has been gifted in few moments in my life where this connection has been there. And inner dance has been also an affirmation of that I should to be here, and how all this background has been slowly digested in a different container and finding useful ways to be expressed and becoming in something that is not there as a portrait or something to share or something to impress, how it becomes useful, how it becomes sensitive, how it has been becoming touching and transformative. So in my experience, I has been going through every week through very interesting processes, also being open to change, I feel that in my personal part, what I got with inner dance is gave me another space that I had with my guitar before in my spiritual journey with the music, because I did many stuff and I was trying many stuff in order to go in more deep in my inner world, in order to expressing this through music. And this is now a different space. Inner dance has been giving me the opportunity to get a new focus, to get a fresh space and fresh reasons, and renewing different commitments or different certainties that they also has been changing through the process. And so to me, the callings and the 3 weekly spaces, sometimes there are 4, has been very important, very dynamic. I don't feel stuck in any way. I just know that there's a lot of things to still discovering. I have many new questions inside of me. Sometimes I'm confused by the new questions that I have, and this is amazing. I feel that this is amazing to be in the new questions, to be in new challenge, to be in new not knowing, because we used to create altars for the knowledge that we have, for the answers that we have, for the certainties that we have. And we create altars, and we are in the world walking and talking and saying this as we got something. And this is like or fanatic or kind of no reasonable people. So to me, it has been very important to hold in that space for myself, and how people is feed by this, and how the feedbacks, the different feedbacks, not just if this was nice or not was nice, or many feedbacks, being open to the different feedbacks, being open to the opinions that they are not cozy or they are not in my field of what I like, has been even more important. I feel that in inner dance, we need to be very much accessible and accountable for opinion and facts that they are not as we think. And maybe this has been a gift that has been, and through difficult experiences, cultivated from my side. And maybe it has been supporting me a lot. And I want to place it here in considering for you all, because we cannot have different results if we are doing the same. We cannot have different experiences if we are following the same patterns. So I thank to each and every one of you. I thank to the profoundness and the grace that Pai has been holding and is holding in this moment of his journey, in this moment of inner dance processes. I'm very excited for what is coming. And if I am involved in process of sharing with other people, is because the people has been approaching to me and they has been requesting, and I say, okay, I want to learn more. I want to do healthy mistakes. I want to get more confidence and more profoundness and clarity, and I have new questions to do. So I'm really in that position, and maybe that I need to return here, friends. So sending a lot of love, happy new now, happy new year. And thank you so much for this powerful and beautiful space. Bye-bye.
Anyone else who still wants to share? Or anything that emerges? Also, I know if Clara or Andrea wants to share in Spanish, or you want to write in the chat, checking there. We can also give time, space, because I know you guys don't speak or understand so much English. I'm super amazing. You are on the loop. So if you want to share, you can also share in Spanish. Or use Google Translate to that. But yeah, if anyone still wants to tune in, or anything else that comes up from the space, yeah.
I'll just share a few things. Not really been able to attend regularly because of the time. But I'm grateful for the recordings. So I've been watching the videos through YouTube. Um, um, First thing I'd like to say thank you. There's it's very rich. I think there's something about individual sharing in a collective space. It it makes things clearer. There's so much resonance as well, and there's a sense of, I think what um, comes out very clearly is a oneness. Um, there is some connection when one speaks. And that is one thing I truly appreciate, because it also helps me grow in this area that is not really easy to learn or understand, but must be taken also in trust. And so yeah, it's the first thing. I just want to say thank you. And the second, I'm really excited about the Joshua music. I have no doubt about the impact that inner dance can have on teens, because I brought some students in the room, and definitely I've seen how they have healed themselves through inner dance. But then there was this question, what about kids who cannot be asked to lie down or to sit down? And so the Joshua music course gives me so much hope. In fact, I spoke to a colleague, a teacher, and I was telling her we have this music, and said, "Come, share it, because we have so many kids who will need that, who can't sleep, who are experiencing." So I'm excited to hear. I am excited to share it with my co-teachers, and I also appreciate what came, how Pai actually made the music, the way he was explaining it. So I can see how the playlist can change depending on who we are uh, sharing it with. So, and then in relation to that, I had a recent experience, because I'm also a Reiki practitioner. So a friend said, Maite, please pray for this kid. There's a meltdown going on. It's a really bad meltdown. And for some reason, I just had this knowing I had to use sound even from a distance. My throat chakra is the weakest. I really am not comfortable speaking, but had to trust again that inner knowing, okay, use sound. And then there, of course, the notion that, okay, there's timelessness and boundlessness, that we can reach anyone. So I found myself also just allowing the voice to come out, and it was like a lullaby. And a few minutes after, I texted my friend, has the child calmed down? And he said, yes. Okay. So I knew sound really has an impact on kids, even from a distance. So that's a good experience for me. And then, yeah, I resonated very much with Lily's core about you mentioned death, birth, and death. So same here. Christmas was actually, the season was something I was a bit anxious about because it will be the first time I will not be with my mom because she also transitioned. But when you said that life, inner dance is life, I resonated very deeply because I I think the thing that saw me through this Christmas season was the inner dance, the child playing again by the beach. So it was through that connection with the earth, the waves, the sand, the sky, which to me inner dance opened actually. That I sort of played through and danced through the pain and anxiety and found myself like a child again. And that was my dance for Christmas. So, but I know death is something that I will continue to under to understand, to learn about, and maybe to ah, and in relation to death also, it is also through inner dance that dimensionality is real. Something I cannot probably discuss with my friends, but it is in this community that when spoken about is real as it can be. And to me, that also helps me cope with the death or the that of my mom, because there is no death. I'm very certain there is no death. But of course, the human side still misses or I grieves, but there's an inner knowing that there is no death. So I also resonate with the word that was used a while ago, liberation and freedom. So it's I think it's a continuing process, but I would say inner dance is really one that continues to liberate the soul and open both the mind and the heart. And I was listening to somebody talking about the axis, time, space, and the heart. And I said that I heard that before. I heard that from Pai talking about the x-axis as being time, space, and the heart. And you know, I'm just so grateful to be here. Although I'm not able to contribute as much or share, but just listening and observing has filled me so much, and I remain very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Maite. Just realized for you and Rosa, it's also 4 a.m. timing with the call. Yeah, something that came from your sharing also, Ahilan, before, from my own disconnection to, or all of us has lost our mothers, and also through Johanna before the process, I was kind of going into this connection and non-connection. So where, and actually 2 days ago also, one mother who was supposed to arrive next month passed away. One participant's mother was supposed to come, actually 3 generations, daughter, mother, and grandmother, who would have taken care of the daughter, but she suddenly passed away. So there's a lot of mothers somehow in the field that has passed. So then I was going into this reflection of like what's stored in a memory of the body somehow about the moment and the care, and then if and when also in inner dance is called as process connected to the mother, to something that is feminine. Doesn't need to mean gender in a way, but in an energy that feels it's like nurturing and Mother Earth, or that nature mother energy. So what does it mean when our physical mothers, the physical connection is not here, but the dimensionality and it blurs out. So where we hold stories and memories in our bodies of that connection, and when also kind of in inner dance space for myself, I'm able to reconnect the human mother or the physical mother. The process of losing that physical connection kind of feels it has to open that channel to that energetical, or also what is in the memory, but what is also in the energetical realms. So that's something, mother themes coming out, which is interesting, and what's happening a lot this past year or these times, but also connecting it to the really core voice of the Mother Earth or mother energy in the creation energy in the nature. So yeah, waves of that in the space. Is there someone else? Any check-ins or sharings, connections, insights?
Maybe I can say something. Yes. Just because the mother topic was mentioned, I figured I will share something. I really didn't feel like sharing much today. I'm kind of tired. But today I told my mom that, well, she wanted to share me things about her dream and other things, and I just didn't want to listen because, well, me and my mom, I used to call my mom my best friend since I was little. Like, she was in the list of my best friends, which for a lot of girls, a lot of my friends, seemed like the very cool thing. And it was very cool. I mean, I had probably the best relationship with my mom among my peers. But at the same time, there's like a flip side to that. And my mom was also sharing a lot about her relationship with my dad, like with a friend. I was, as if a friend would be sharing about her husband, all the things. And well, I guess there was a time that I was too little for that. Then there was an appropriate time. But then I'm kind of looking back, and especially the last couple of months, I really saw my own kind of conflict within, like who to believe, my mom or my dad. And I realized that this relationship with my mom also contributed to that conflict within myself. Like, is it the masculine or the feminine? Like, what is better? What do I choose? Who's right, my mom or my dad? In like all the levels, not just like I'm not thinking who's right, my mom or my dad, but kind of having headaches and understanding that the pain within, the conflict within, is actually about that, like me having to choose. And of course I had this process of understanding and realizing that I don't have to choose between them, that I can hold both, and that's very, very healing. But kind of in this physical realm, I actually now am staying with my parents, and yeah, kind of having this day-to-day life and kind of looking at it all the time, and it's interesting to look at this sort of disattachment, or like cutting the umbilical cord, but being in the house with them. It's like not just like, it's not about leaving the house to do, like leaving the house, you can be not aware how you're completely still in that dependency. And then I'm not sure if I'm like succeeding or anything. I'm just like going with it, whatever is happening. But yeah, as the mom was mentioned, and when Ahilan mentioned the mother, and then you again, I was like, okay, maybe I will talk. But then by the time it finished and you started talking, I was like, forgot about it. And yeah, Italy kind of made me say something. I don't know if it's relevant or not, but it is something about maturing and maybe parenting yourself instead of relying on external parents to do that. Because we still place a lot of responsibility on our parents to support us, even if it's not the same that what they did when we were children, like to support us. Even, if we give a gift, we want them to like it, or, it's just like these things, they're supposed to like it because we're their children. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so I guess for me, this transition between the cycles, I mean, it's not about the number, the year. It's more about the death, the winter, the death, and then the birth, rebirth. So it's about maturing and connecting, uniting both sides, the masculine and the feminine, kind of becoming one parent for yourself and becoming yourself, I guess. Thank you once again, everyone, for this space and for all of your sharings and your vulnerability and all that you give, curiosity. It's very nice to be a part of this. Thank you.
Yeah, ready to go. Ahilan asked me what did I eat for dinner, so that's probably one of the more interesting things that I've got to say this evening. And for anybody else that's interested, it was some spelt pasta and mozzarella burgers and kimchi as well. So just hitting all of the bases there. I didn't really catch a lot of the earlier conversation. I kind of dropped in halfway through and was in and out and like half catching a few words and things like that. But I think I relate a lot to what is it Sauli? Okay, what Sauli was saying about the mother-father dynamic. And I guess that's, for me, probably more where I am this year and maybe where I've been potentially for the last year back in the UK is more, it's like the interdimensional stuff pops up every so often, but I think a lot of it is this focus on, is like a big buzzword in self-development, personal development circles at the minute, reparenting. And it's like I really have a lot of love for my parents. I think they're very lovely people. And at the same time, there's also the inevitability of ways that, like, needs that didn't get met from childhood in certain ways. And I think I've been working a lot on trying to my own internal language for dealing with that. And it's getting a lot better. I think this is like really, it's much more pragmatic. It's more just, I've been working with a few different modalities, not just inner dance, and I'm about to go on a course this week, actually. It's going to be a 3-month one in NLP and hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and EFT tapping as well. This is all stuff that I've worked with a bit in the past, but I'm doing another training in it now. And I find this stuff to be more direct and more focused in some ways in specific little beliefs. And it's interesting. I've been thinking about ways that all of this stuff comes together. And that reminds me, maybe I do have something more interesting to share than what I had for dinner. I don't know if anyone can see this, but this is something I was working on. Probably not really. It's not very bright, is it? No, okay. I'm going to have to screenshot it and post it in the group. But so I've been working with EFT tapping for a long time now, and then various meditation techniques. And one of them that I really like is the Vipassana base, focus on the sensations, body flow sensations, but then also, I think I mentioned here before, this peripheral awareness of, you don't end at the boundary of your skin, and you have the heart field that kind of expands outwards, and then you have the continuous inhale, exhale that's not obvious where you start and where the environment begins. It's like it's diffusing the sense of self kind of deeper a little bit. And so I've been working with that around EFT tapping and finding, I don't know if, I think this is maybe the semantic network, but it's like you focus on a belief, a specific belief, you tune in, and you will think of like whatever's there, whatever, say you're having some emotional experience, it's like, what's the thing that's underpinning that? What's the idea that's underpinning that, without thinking about it too much, and just drop into it. And it can even be like something that you wish was true, like a positive attractor, or something that you wish wasn't true, like a negative attractor. It's like, I'm worthless and horrible, or I'm amazing and fantastic. Either, it doesn't really matter which way you go, but you're basically putting something in there to find out like what's there. What's, when you really do this more specific exploring, I find with the inner dance, it's almost like a very general opening up in the sleep state, whereas this tends to be more focused on, this is a problem, and it's kind of more masculine in its approach. This is a problem, or this feels like a stuckness right here, and I want to focus on all of the language in my semantic network that's built around that, that's creating this, and then all of the feelings that language is bookmarking. And so then you go into things like rating it on a scale of 0 to 10, how uncomfortable is it? And you're just working consciously with your unconscious to get it to throw up stuff that's there. And you detail emotions. I don't know if anyone's familiar with this practice called the emotion code, or the body code. Has anyone heard of that? It's Bradley Nelson's work. He's a chiropractor. He's interesting. My girlfriend's doing a training in it right now, and it's like clearing trapped emotions with intentions. It's really fascinating what it throws up. So you kind of go in and you work through this stuff, and you tap on these meridian points. And what I found is that tapping when I'm lying down is much greater than tapping when I'm kind of awake and conscious. And I think it's that combination of going into that more delta space, like the inner dance space. As soon as you go horizontal, the different part of your brain is active and you're kind of dropping into that deeper state of relaxation, and tapping on the fingertips or tapping around the points is kind of enough just to keep you awake, but you're treading the line a lot more between theta and delta. And I found that to be really effective at getting to like deeper places with the tapping. I haven't tried it with music yet, but I've certainly been using the breath with it as well to keep people out of the head space and more in the body space, and keep coming back round to focus in on this belief statement that has been this kind of emotionally charged until the point where it just kind of pops open and this sense of relaxation, and you can say the belief statement. It doesn't have any emotional charge. It's really like focused somatic psychology work, but I've been playing around with mixing that with things from the inner dance, like the wave ideas, and like going into delta and then coming back into like a beta state to think of something that you have to, like a doing type thing, and then going really deep into that delta like spaciousness. And then I guess I'd describe it as like going the interlacing of like going between time and then going into space, and then coming back to time, linear, and then going into space, and just doing that back and forth while focusing on a specific thing, like with an intent, has really been effective. Or it's really interesting. It's certainly been interesting for me. And so I don't know really where I'm going with this. I think I've been experimenting a lot with mixing different things, like merging things together. And that's what I like about the inner dance space, is you can do that. It doesn't have to just be all one thing, this linear hierarchical structure. And that's kind of my that's been my Christmas period and New Year, so very, very exciting. And I guess in regards to like the parent stuff, all of that stuff that has been coming up for me in that process has felt like internalized parent stuff. So you have an experience, obviously, when you're younger, and internalize a bunch of words that create a structure, like a little kind of structure in the body that gives you some kind of magnetic identity. I think like the frameworks of magnetism and electricity have really helped a lot in adding, I think like expanding my idea of what it is that's happening when I'm going into this work and thinking about words, and thinking about the words that appear to be in some senses lodged in the subconscious in this kind of magnetic way, and like to go towards those words from a spacious place to look at them and bring them out. And it feels more like kind of specific surgery in some senses. Anyway, that's what's been going on for me. I'm getting a bit rambly now, I can feel it. So I'm going to slow it right down. Give somebody else a chance. Thanks for listening, everybody. Happy New Year.
This surgery thing, it's interesting because 3 days coming up to New Year, 29, 30, and 31, I was kind of resting and having my own process and listening to music, new kind of sounds, searching for my own sounds. And during the process of the 3 days, I was seeing moments like as if memories were just flooding in, and they were like all the bits and pieces, it's not even like time, like pieces of timeline where I actually see some sort of situation unfolding, but like specific points, whether I see a room or a person, and I just know what it kind of what it means, that point of meaning in, and how all of those things just make me like, I kind of, I don't know if I chose them as specific, you know, that magnetism, if I chose those points or they chose me in a way to like see them and fixate on them. But I just saw so many tiny bits since childhood up to now, especially in the childhood years, like the room and how I kind of felt like I was creating it, like the drawing that I had to draw in the kindergarten, drawing my own room, and I kind of drew it, and it kind of, I had a feeling that I drew actually the room that was really there, and all these things. I don't know, it's very interesting you're sharing, because I can relate to it as I had lately these kind of moments. I don't know actually how it works, going back to it, if it, like if something is released there or not, or, but yeah, interesting to look at it and just know that all these pieces make you up, like it, and so many of them, and they're connected in most interesting ways, and it's fascinating, the whole map, the web of semantic networks and of other kind. Thanks for sharing this.
Yeah, I feel like when you were speaking about that, it reminded me a little bit of my first ever dance training, and there was all of these like shapes and colors, and it's hard to really describe it, but it was like things that were really familiar, or I couldn't put my finger on what it was. It was just like there was such a deep sense of familiarity around it, but it wasn't linearized at all. It was kind of fragmented, and it's like there's this kind of shape colory thing here, and it just feels like I've known this thing for like forever, but I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's come from, but it feels really visceral. Yeah. I think I had something else to say, but I've forgotten it now. Oh, thanks for the drawing, by the way, the 12 stages thing. I think that really did capture the hair on the plug quite succinctly.
I enjoyed how the whole conversation just unfolded from that to whatever we were talking. And today I actually had Oreo ice cream. Oscar, you said you like ice cream more than Oreo. I hit both.
I think I want to add something in relation to maybe how choice is made, or maybe how it is connected to our perception, and something regarding magnetism as well. Because 2 or maybe 3 interesting points happened this past month. The first one being that I was actually expecting my mom to receive me at the airport, like with tears in her eyes, like, oh my God, I missed you so much, la 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 la, fairy tale. And she was actually like super cool in her space, like, you're here, okay, cool, now let's go. And that was already for me like, okay, something is different in the space. It was showing me that she was not the person that I had painted in my head that she was in a way, because I've always seen her attached to her kids and emotional and all of that. And then when she was dropping me by the bus station before coming here to my dad, she was like, oh yeah, I know you need to go. I know that maybe you won't come back, and that's okay. And I was like, okay, this is again like another thing that she's showing me. And then I was talking to my dad, and yeah, we had like a very rumbly household when I was a kid, with domestic violence and all of that. And he was always very like aggressive, but also very rigid. And I was telling him like how some words that he had said in the space when I was growing up, they actually shaped me so much. Like I was telling him, yes, when you called me stupid that one time, I still think I'm stupid. And then he was telling me, yeah, I also had to deal with that. Like I had to deal with that voice in my own head. And at the same time, in another conversation, he was telling me like, hey, I don't think you actually remember much from your own childhood because it wasn't always like this. So he was kind of like correcting me and showing me other perspectives or other things that were in the space when we were growing, and things that I had no recollection of. So I was kind of like in this space of, what is this story that I made up? Or actually the pieces, because of course through inner dance I've seen like so many pieces of so many things, and I have like some memories from my childhood. So it's kind of like, okay, these pieces of these fractals of the whole, they make up a whole. They make a meaning. There's a meaning, and knowing that my own interpretation or my own making up of meaning was not his meaning, it was not the same for him, it was not the same story for him, it kind of like made me reflect on how we choose in a way to see this, to like, oh, I want to focus, like there's something with the eye, I don't know, or the body that is very like focalized thing. This is the story, this is the pattern. You're a mom, you need to behave like this. You are a dad, you need to behave like this. I am a person, I need to behave like this. So it was showing me again, like kind of like a slap in my face, how I was choosing to also see that story from that perspective or from those lenses that somehow I created within myself. So it does bring a lot to me into consideration on how magnetism also works to hold this, because if you have an entire persona built on, well, electromagnetically built on that story or that meaning, and then 31 years later you realize like, oh, this is actually a little bit different. Or every time you go into an inner dance session and you have like a breaking point realization of your own story, it's just like kind of reshaping and showing you like different roads to choose, different interpretations to build, or different meanings to go. So I guess this actually contributed a lot to my womb being space. Like, okay, it's kind of like everything that was holding me together magnetically as a person is shaking again. And it's shaking from, the interesting thing was that it was shaking not because of the electricity, not because of like intensity or anything. It was magnetism shaking its own ground in the magnetic aspect of my existence. So yeah, it does bring a lot of things into perspective to me. And it kind of liberated me a lot also. So I like, Solo, when you were saying how you expect your parents to do something or to be something, and I'm pretty sure they do the same. We do the same with everyone, but this past month has been like this liberation from that as well, that there is this, like, that they are just new people as much as I am a new person every day, and whatever was there holding it, it can just like shift in a way. And it will be, I feel that, like, also one thing that I've learned so much with inner dance is that no matter how many deconstruction, how much deconstruction there is in the space, it doesn't mean that there is not a solid base underneath it. And it's like, even getting to the point of not speaking or not understanding a single word or not being able to verbalize a single word in the space, it just showed me that, like, okay, if this is the ultimate structure of subconscious, of what my body is made of, what I believe it is made of, and I don't even have it, and I'm still here as a person, as a human being, that just put a lot of things into perspective, that there is something that is there doing its own thing. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you for this reflection. I had something similar going on also for me, like how a word, a gift, or a birthday, celebrated or not celebrated, can become something big, something magnetic in our life, and it is especially happening when we are small. And then the other part, whoever it is, also holds maybe a word and a magnetic meaning of it. Especially in my case, it was like, yeah, my father or my mother, they would have they had a different opinion or view of it, and it felt like there are two polarities. And I remember well in the I was quite along. I was having my WhatsApp status in the space in between, where between the polarities, I find myself my comfort zone in a way, and it felt good. But now I see, when Tom was sharing about this, going between time and space, and again between time and space, there seems to be something happening. It's also what I realized for me is in the last year, is that holding the both points, holding the image of I had, and the image or the story our parents had. When we hold both, and suddenly the space in between opens up too, and it's all come together, and where you can see in the part the whole, and then there's something happening, and then there's this solid base opening up, something which whatever the story is, the story doesn't disappear because it stays, but there's this solidness is allowing to work from that space. This is how I feel from some of those experiences I had in my childhood, and now it feels like, okay, this is there, but there's something which is not seeing the whole in this small part, and seeing the electricity and magnetism together in one acting. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Ahilan. It's really interesting. Because when I go to the place where it's like each word has a bookmark for a specific feeling, and one of the things I'll do with myself and get clients to do is so you have to like position. You go to the feeling, and then you kind of open up space, which is this like peripheral awareness. I'm bigger than just the body. The emotion or the energy in motion is something that can move in space, but then also asking them or yourself to be in time as well. So it's like, it's not a static fixed thing, it's something that moves through time. It's like the emotion is an experience that, like a wave that will end. And often I find that combination of the peripheral space awareness, but also the kind of peripheral time awareness. So the before and points before and after the wave helps people to be able to relax and go to actually have this much more objective experience of the emotion. Obviously, if they're in a kind of a deeply like an expanded state. And I, as you were talking there, Ireland, I was thinking about that, the Mu state, high magnetism, high electricity, that almost like a kind of a peak state, high mind, high body. That seems to be where wherever you're taking people in, like within that kind of semantic network or within the journey, if you're able to get them to be there and have the experience of that thing, it almost pops it open and it transforms by itself, and then a new meaning kind of unfolds or grows up the middle, and the old meaning it's lost its charge somehow when the specific experience of that particular set of words and the emotional charge that it's held has been really properly observed. Like when it's been really observed from that very spacious state, like spacious as in like the peripheral awareness of space and also peripheral awareness of time. It's like when it's been observed from that place, and you actually feel, it's almost like you feel safe enough to have the experience, and then it moves through and your nervous system can have that experience. And yeah, just looking at it then from that place kind of transforms it. I don't know if any of what I'm saying is relatable to anyone else, but it's really, it's almost like building a little system around it that helps people to go a bit more surgical in what they're doing in regards to investigating these specific belief structures and the emotional charges that they held and how that affects behavior in the here and now, even though it's it's the reason it was created is long gone. Like you're long past that point where you needed to believe that you were worthless in order to survive childhood or whatever. It's like that's still kind of running somewhere in the background, and it's causing a bit of a detrimental experience.
Hi everyone, this is Fanny. It's such an interesting topic. I feel there's so many layers. A lot in my body at the moment. I don't know how my brain is going to speak. What's interesting to me related to New Year is that it holds mostly like a point of reference in time, where we can, or I can see what space I've been in or I am in the moment, and then what is the point in time where what has been held in time from the other point of reference, which is the year before. And it's something that I also do sometimes, it's like a pause, like a stop, like just a step in between to just realize like what is actually happening when we've been just in movement and going on, and it's like a deep check-in that can happen. But I also have this part of me who doesn't relate so much to like resolution or anything that what can I hold, but yeah, at the same time I'm looking into it myself, and I'm using this as an opportunity for that. Yeah, regarding the mother parent process, for me to be in the space where I felt a lot of energy related to the mother and motherhood, and around me also a lot of processes with my friends around, and my my own mother. It's something I've been holding with my mom for a long time. Like, I've been into this process, and um, I think I went through the dark night of the soul with her already in a way. And now I'm mostly in a space of what I would call a remagnetization of it, which I'm asking myself um, through having an image of her, and having perceptions and having my own stories about what created my own hurt or pain, or yeah, patterns with her. I felt that she changed in the past years, but I'm also holding the question of, like, is it her that changed, or me that is seeing her through a different perception, or many different perceptions, because I allow myself to go into the stories and to choose what is it that I want to perceive, and from what perspective do I come from. So there's kind of this bond of mother child, of like, I am the child and she's the mother, or the parent, and I have a certain perception coming from the child that I've been holding, also as a point of reference. Like, if I'm holding a certain perception, it's something that has been created in a certain time, and that through space is still being held in me, and that through the many stories that got accumulated, it's still holding like a belief system, or created a belief system, or a pattern, or like um, yeah, like a meaning making way of perceiving the space. and and so if I look into this perception, or if I look into the adult in me that can actually see the perception of the child, what is it that I truly hold with my mother? And there's this um feeling that, okay, because I'm healing, or I'm growing, I would say, things inside myself. Well, there's just like generational trauma being healed, or now she's also healing, or she's also growing into something else. What I'm looking into is it this that, I'm also healing the the lineage, or am I just healing the perception that has been held within the lineage for so long, and the belief system that got passed through to one another? Yeah, so it's kind of like a different perspective of what I've been holding before, and I want to look into that, um, to yeah, to hold, like. And now it's interesting because I'm having kind of this need, or more like wanting to be closer to my mom. Like, we're very close, and we talk, and like, we support each other, but I don't know how to explain like differently. Then I think I'm wishing for a different type of connection that have been there in the past. And this is kind of where I'm at, where I'm taking myself more from an adult perspective, but being into like looking into the whole process from like the past 10 years. And like I had, I think, almost a year of not really speaking to my mom at all. Like I needed to create this very strong boundaries with her. So yeah, I think going through the whole 12 stages, when we referred to this before, it came to me that it's kind of a choice or need to reintegrate differently. And then looking into the magnetism of it, it's like, how do I want to come from a kind of a feeling of maturity, I would say, or adult space to connect, and then having all of these, I think, death processes, like coming here when Italy lost her mom, like only a few days before I came, and then Achillen was going back to Sri Lanka to have the ceremony for his mom, and like my friend also with her mom back home, and all of this was around me. So I felt like this importance of or realization that she's still alive and she's here, and she's still has time, and she has her mind, and her body is good. And so why not like take the opportunity to connect with her in a way that I would actually maybe wish for or need if she wouldn't be here, or she suddenly passed, what would I want to tell her? So I'm into all of this process now and just observing it, because I haven't opened up the conversation yet with her. But I can see also something change in her. So all of these talks and like perception and belief system and what I've been holding for so long, what if it can actually dissolve, and what is the space that would be created to hold a space in between, like Evelyn was sharing, of like holding the old and holding the new. If they're a base of a pyramid or just a triangle, like the old and new, what is being created on top, where the child meets the parent, so they can become together like an adult perspective, like a gestalt coming together. So this was in my field lately. So it's been good to have this conversation that actually I didn't feel like sharing so much, but all of it just became like a melting pot, and it felt good to open up. So thank you for the space. I really enjoyed the community and space and the heart to heart. It's good to be here.
I want to borrow Italy's phone. I was sleeping, and then I was in a kind of dream space. I woke. I slept really late because I had to pick up the mother of my two kids, who was landing from another island. We were with my kids for about a week with my mom and with my sister. So I think the Zoom was happening somewhere in the room, and I woke up with like a set of complete thoughts, and then I was really groggy, so I went to the toilet, and as I was peeing, it felt like the thoughts were starting to interrelate with each other, and they were all connected. And then I was kind of listening to the words that were going on, The only ones that I heard were part of Dom's voice, Gra, yeah, and so Fanny for sure. I think Saule. And it was like they were having these conversations inside my head already before I woke up. So I had to join the call. I only have one thought that felt like relevant to share. I was having a conversation with Italy about judgment this afternoon. Like we were exploring over pseudo lunch, like what is judgment? And it got me to reflecting on what is the opposite of judgment. And it seemed to be possibly like empathy. The judgment is more or less like the inability to step into someone else's like shoes or skin and see life through how they're seeing it, which is like an incredible thought. Is that actually possible to ever jump into anyone's mind or consciousness and see things from the context that they would see it, which is super complex and super deep. Inner dance is such a thing. It's a phenomenology. Like phenomenology works through a kind of bracketing where you could like be exposed to something familiar, something uncomfortable, something painful, something addictive. And when you want to truly see it for what it is, there has to be a pretense that you don't know anything about that, so you could possibly see it for what it truly is. So I can only imagine how difficult it would be to bracket out what you know about a mom or a daughter or a son or, you know, a dad. So it got me to reflecting while listening to you guys joining this kind of Zoom call from the other space I was in. I only realized that my parenting practice had been an inner dance through bracketing. Like that's the only thing I've been doing, I think, all the while, like pretending that I don't actually know my son or my daughter to the best that I can, which is sometimes an effort because you know people as patterns, not just as energy beings that have names, but we know them as patterns. And it's quite easy to react to people as if they were patterns according to the patterns that are always happening inside of us. So to actually bracket out those patterns themselves, it's in fact quite difficult. So I wanted to bring up this possible interesting thing because in my own reflection, not just of my mom but mothers in general, mothers have maybe possibly the deepest empathy a human being could have, but they possibly could also have the least empathy, where there could also be the space for the most projection and identification. And speaking to mothers through the inner dance construct throughout the years, I've been interested in the passage through the mirror stage in both the child and the mother, when a mother might actually need not need a mother goes through like an ego death almost as a sacrificial thing in order to give life, to bear life, to rear life, she loses herself. There's like a death of the self. And it could be really painful at a certain stage when they haven't really found themselves yet, and they're about to just take on a life of responsibility and obligation, and yeah. So that has me now reflecting on my own relationship with my mom. And I was with her the last week, and I observe her through the lens of a son, the lens of an inner dance person, the lens of like an energy being. My dad died like a while ago, and it was after his death that she went through her dark night of the soul, and it was then that she had to disentangle a lot of the entanglements of motherhood and wifehood and even daughterhood. So a lot of you probably saw the Inner Mom video where my mom's on this awakening process, traveling the world and learning to take care of herself, which is quite new to her because she'd always been worried about other people. And when she wakes up, most of what she does is about like taking care and making sure everyone's safe and good. Yeah, so I guess bracketing has to somehow start as a personal project where one has to parent oneself from an unconditional pure space. And that probably requires a really deep empathy to be able to do that, like empathy for the self. So going into conversation with family members and friends, it's almost like language wise we're hoping to reach for a place of objectivity where things could be seen as they are without negotiation, without coping or defense mechanisms, without identification, and without projections. What it would take to eventually reach that level where things are just what they are. And so I guess that's my reflection on the question we were holding for the Zoom today, like what is the type of inner dance that emerges in today's personal and global context. I was interviewed by a Swiss lady from Basel who's been studying spiritual communities, and she wanted to study Maya for her thesis or dissertation. She's studying some other communities, and she sometimes interviews me online, and she would ask question, okay, how are you using your spiritual practice in the community? Like, how do you guys do this as a ritual, as a ceremony, as a spiritual modality, this thing called inner dance? And it gets really hard to answer her because in Maya, we don't really use inner dance as a modality to hold community. It used to be that, but from what I've seen in my own culture as a Filipino, and then in the culture of the spiritual community, it language and bringing things into clarity seems to be a lot more important than laying down, closing the eyes, and just feeling each other. Maybe because there's been so much of that. So for me, what emerges in 2023 onwards is a way of like family sizing almost the space where everyone becomes a reflection of your brother, your mother, your sister, your brother, and your son and daughter. I'm lucky that I have access to them constantly through my own, partnership and through my own kids, and I'm in constant communication with my mom. She's super supportive, and I can really be with her only probably because I know she's been through the 12 stages. Like I've seen her undergo death and rising up, and she's balancing out. So I just reflect on the kind of conditions it would take to become like a whole family system within oneself. And it probably requires like a feeling, speaking, listening space that allows so much to be seen. So another level of dialogue, I think, emerges. So waking up like tonight or this morning, I actually felt that is already happening. That's like a 2023 level conversation, which isn't like now. It's all the experiences, everything we've been through adds up. There's like a build up. There's like it's been getting to this point where all the pieces are there, and we just need to have fun with the puzzling, which would never really be completed. It's they're all fluid, the pieces and the way they fit together. So yeah, I just wanted to contribute something because I was part of the conversation, absorbing, reflecting with you guys, just not in a eyes open type of space. Thank you for everything that's been going on here.
Um, yeah, I'm Ro, and I've been listening to you guys and for the past 2.5 hours. Um, I I'm not really planning to kind of share, but um, I just wanted to listen in. But as we go along, the question is, I had this feeling with I resonated with what Pai has mentioned about how inner dance would be moving for 2023 because like what Tita has gone through, like that's what I call Pai's mom. um I think I went through that different stages, and there was a feeling at this point. I see that it's really more of integration of like the different selves that I went through, the different stages of Rosa since I started inner dance, from when I was like trying to search myself. I went through a healing journey where I almost died, and then relearning the culture again, where I'm at after kind of erasing it from whence the time that I got sick, and then starting anew, and now integrating it with the community, and making sense of what I've learned all throughout and applying it to, for example, the PDLs or the inmates in Manila City Jail. And I think that's what resonates with me the most, is like being able to apply what I've learned in Cebu, in Maya, in Palawan, in Manila, in my different communities I've went through, communities that I've went through, especially with inner dance, and then kind of uh, putting it in a funnel, and then applying it in a space where it's meaningful for not just those who are seeking spiritual growth or searching for themselves, but those just regular people. How can that's my, I think that's the goal that I have for 2023, is how can inner dance be accessible even to those that are that, that's not really on the same space that we have, same mindset that we have. And I see, I've had like I think 7 sessions, 4 to 7 sessions in Manila City Jail, and the first 5 ones are kind of challenging, but the last two was really amazing because they started to share their experiences, and there's like a breakthrough, a small hole in the wall that I'm now able to kind of pierce through their own personality, their own insights after having those several sessions. And looking forward, I'm really looking forward for 2023 and how they'd be able to kind of integrate that fully with their paintings and their whatever there is. And we already have 3 inmates that just got released, and integrating, and they still go back. I'm looking forward for them to go back and still continue to attend our inner dance sessions in the jail even after they got released, because they found a community. I saw that the actual help that they need is not really money, but really a hope, the trust. And that's what we have in inner dance. It's really the trust and non-judgmental love. Non-judgment. When you go to Maya, whoever you are, there's really there's no definition of your personality once you come in the community. And that's what we are offering. I am offering in Manila City Jail, is that, hey, whatever you've gone through, you're starting a new, and we're still supporting them. And I see whenever we have meetings with those that just got released, they're really excited. And even if they are lacking with financial status, with their financial status, but the mere fact that someone outside of someone who is a group is willing to accommodate them and provide them this trust is bigger than the bank account that some like a regular, like anyone can have. So I guess that's it. And I really appreciate the community that we have. I've gone through, when I was ideating my startup, I've gone through different communities. I need help. And it was only Pai and Lituli, which is, was really, without them, I wouldn't be able to really be in this space. And, in where I'm able to really execute everything. So, and when I started sharing my Laya digital creators with you guys last November, I've received 3 inquiries on, hey, I wanted to, like, it seems that I've pierced through a different level where other people who are practicing inner dance from other countries, Spain, Belgium, would also like to replicate what we're doing. And I had 2 calls actually, wanted to learn about my experiences. And people are really very supportive. Saule, Floor, everyone. So I'm so glad, and I'm so lucky to have you guys. I'm just so appreciative. Tita Maite and the group in Dakdiwa. I just can't, my heart is overflowing with love. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward for a bigger community like us for 2023. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosa. I think that's a good gratitude closing for our 3-hour sharing for today. We'll continue, and we can close together with some sound playlist of all of your microphones. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Morning. Good night.
Mm.
Bye-bye. Thank you.